Hello, hello. It's Tuesday, the 11th of November, and we're over halfway through the New York session today. So, I thought I'd do a quick stream. So, as far as BTC is concerned right now, so the weekly is gone bearish. We opened up pretty neutral, flipped into the previous week, coming into previous week's VWAP, looking for potentially previous week's val, lining up with monthly val, which is essentially this composite range low at around 101k from here. We're obviously trading around yearly VWAP and imbalance down the quarter, having been unable to hold on to it. So overall, VWAPs look pretty bearish, kind of neutral on the developing year, but not looking too great. So obviously, we more or less came and tested the 30-day rolling. Sometimes I was thinking we could push a little bit higher, potentially come test previous month's val. Sometimes you get, clear a push into a high volume node. As it was, we just got a failure to accept within this previous 3-week composite upon the news that a bill was drafted for the reopening of the government in Burgerland. Today, we broke below previous day's val. If we were going to see another push higher, we needed to reclaim that. As it was a bearish retest, and we're now reaccepting into this 5-day composite from last week. So, absolute best case, we're going to trade down to this high volume node at 102. But I think if I just zoom out, the bull case here is potentially that we get a third drive, and so I think we are probably going to make a new low. And the question is, what happens then? Is it going to be a bullish third drive, and do we get bought up, or is it going to slowly bleed out, and are we going to trade down to yearly val, which is what I would anticipate the more time we spend below yearly VWAP. So certainly looking for at least a sweep of this low and probably June's low, which takes us into the monthly imbalance between June's low and April's high. So it's easier if I just go to the monthly chart, isn't it? But we see we've got an imbalance here between April's high and June's low. So I'm looking for at least that low to get taken out, really, for us to trade into that gap, and potentially for us to find a bullish reaction somewhere below 98k, maybe at the POC of the previous range at 97. But yeah, thinking we probably go and make a new low and then potentially look for longs again somewhere down here, and whether that's just for a lower high or whatever, TBC, but that's my plan at the moment. So pretty straightforward. I think, obviously just using BTC to confluence other things at the moment, but certainly valid to be taking shorts on it. Even if you're taking it off this composite reclaim, it's absolutely fine. Trade to 102, trade to the value lows, and then potentially start looking for longs. As I said before, we just haven't seen that. The sentiment's very negative, obviously, but it hasn't played out in the data yet. We just haven't seen that period of sustained negative funding like we got in April. And in fact, today funding is ticking up quite high. A little bit of depth returning to the bid, but I don't think that's particularly meaningful. I just want to see a better puke into lower prices before I'm interested in bidding BTC. So that's it for BTC. ETH kind of formed this wedge into these overlapping VWAPs. I think we came into a daily gap. Yeah, just swept this high into this daily imbalance. Again, I was hoping we could trade a bit higher. The fact that we didn't is not particularly great, but we're at support now. We are finding some support here, over VWAP, composite overlap. So pretty painful short to hold. If we can accept back within this 6-week below this low, essentially, then we're also going to trade lower. As it is, not looking terrible. Do I want a long ETH here? No, not the way BTC is looking. So still anticipating this goes lower, and obviously we've got a ton of VWAP resistance, imbalance down on the developing week at the moment. So I'd need to be long ETH higher up. As it is, in terms of actually getting long ETH, do I want a long ETH over BTC? I mean, it does look stronger at the moment, doesn't it? And ETH BTC to me is potentially bull flagging. I struggle to be bearish this chart right now. So maybe ETH is a better long. But for me, nothing to do here. could have taken a short, but right into support now, so not somewhere I'd want to touch it. Sol looking probably the weaker of the lot, obviously trading below all of the rolling VWAPs, below yearly VWAP, and accepting back within this 8-month composite. It's difficult to be bullish on the wider market looking at how bad Solana looks. So we're also trading back within the 5-day composite, or in fact 6 days. So there's still a short setup here. I think if we come and retest mid 162 area, at least to play the range and then see if we break down. Kind of just looks like we're bear flagging to me, but we'll see. So ETH of the majors looks the best right now, no doubt about that. And I think I'll leave it there for today. I think alts are going to give the best bounces when we do find a low, but for me, there's not really any convincing sign that the low is in yet. Although ETH is not looking too bad. Let's take a look at ETH here. Yeah, so you have got confidence to potentially go long ETH, given the flush of open interest and the change in book depth as we come into that area of support. So ETH is probably the one thing I wouldn't want to be short right now in terms of the majors. Hype is at support, but not looking great. I mean, failure above 5 days of balance, return pullback, pretty straightforward short. Trade down to complete lows, compressing here now, and we're below the POC of this range right here. So as long as it's below 40, then I think it's going to break lower, potentially support against it. These VWAPs are on 37.3, and if we lose that, the door is open potentially towards a move towards yearly VWAP, which is a good sort of 25% lower than from here. So really things don't look particularly good at the moment, but potentially looking for some kind of low and for a decent reversion trade from below 98k. And that really sums it up for now. So I will probably leave it there. The Zec short was an absolute banger of a trade, to be honest. So it came to this low volume node, obviously resistance, support broke down, and eventually, got a nice high volume push above the level, failed. I think I took the short at 667, so I got a pretty reasonable entry, and then took almost 90% out of it. I'm just holding on to a runner, quarterly value high. Probably forms a range, and trades sideways for a bit. Decent case for a possible bounce, dead cat maybe from 30-day rolling, yearly value high kind of region. And we've got this demand candle, well, a bigger one, but on the 4 hour, there's a down candle before this up move. So, potentially looking for a mean reversion long, lower down, below 450 essentially. What else? Litecoin looking shit again. XMR pretty much fully retraced into the gap. Maybe interesting, maybe some legs in privacy still. ALC has been strong recently, I've noticed. Not bad. Aero, big rejection today ahead of event tomorrow, so not looking so great here, to be honest. Kind of top ticks it with my bullish tweet, but maybe below 103 is interesting again. We've got a daily gap, monthly VWAP kind of area, but it looks like chop. Looks like it's just going to turn into chop. And that's about it, guys. So I will catch you later. Cheers.